Hey, this is Scott, and today I'm going to take a look at the build quality and design of the Laowa 15mm f4 wide-angle macro lens. This lens has quite a lot thrown into it: one-to-one macro, an ultra-wide field of view, a declicked aperture ring, and the ability to shift up and down. It's an all-manual lens with the widest aperture of f4, but at a price of under $500, there's quite a lot of potential in this, on paper. We'll look at the all-important image quality in another video, but for now, let's go over how it's made, and especially in the case of this lens, how it is to use. It's not super large overall, but the front of the lens does flare out quite wide. The actual front element does not exceed the front of the barrel, meaning you can put standard filters on here. The lens hood in unfortunate but consistent Laowa design is kind of terrible. At least the copy that I received is extremely tricky to put on, and also this requires the lens cap to be removed before the lens hood and vice versa. The barrel does extend as you focus closer to macro distance, and combined with an insanely close working distance of 0.2 inches for one-to-one macro, you'll want to be very careful as you focus. If your subject is not the closest thing to your lens, such as may be the case with something surrounded by leaves, grass, or twigs, those other things will hit your lens when taking one-to-one macro photos. There's a 14-bladed Aperture Diaphragm in here, giving a really nice out-of-focus area, which is something I've happily found on nearly every Laowa lens. The Aperture Ring is declicked, but it's located at the front of the lens where you typically expect to find the manual focus ring. Once you get used to it, it's fine, but especially if you're going back and forth between a couple of lenses, this will easily throw you off, which can be frustrating. Being declicked only adds to the confusion if you're turning it with your eye to the viewfinder, since it feels like the same as the focus ring in that regard. The manual focus ring does turn smoothly, and it has hard stops at either end, but the focus throw is not incredibly long, about 90 degrees. The barrel is also marked with some different distance markers for your field of view, and also the magnification ratio for your macro end. The barrel of this lens is all metal and feels pretty solid. At the back, you'll find a little tab for shifting the lens 6mm in either vertical direction. This feature will cause heavy black corners on full frame, but if you crop the image a little bit, it can be usable. Ideally, it's meant for use on APS-C cameras, which will then have a field of view of around 22.5mm. To use it, just push this metal tab and slide the barrel up or down. It slides relatively smoothly, but of course not with the fine control you'd typically find on a tilt-shift lens. At the top, middle, and bottom positions, it will gently click into place. I wish that it was possible to shift this in both directions, but again, this lens is coming in at under $500 with a host of other tricks up its sleeve. It's not weather sealed, and the back of the lens is wide open due to the shift feature, so you won't be taking this out in any kind of inclement weather, but otherwise it does feel like it's built pretty solidly. Overall, it is a challenging lens to use for macro photography. As I mentioned before, it will require extreme close distances to get 1-to-1 or even 1-to-2 or 1-to-3 magnification, and it can even feel impossible with certain subjects that are harder to get close to because of their shape or location. You'll often struggle for light since you'll physically be blocking it all out, and the front element is just begging to be scratched since you'll be so close. With the wide angle including so much background, you want to be mindful of your framing as well, but it can give a very unique perspective that could be invaluable to macro enthusiasts. Letting so much more of the environment into your shot than any other macro lens is this lens's biggest selling point, and it's pretty much the only lens that can give you that. Also, just because you can shoot at 1-to-1 doesn't mean you have to. Shooting at slightly smaller magnifications will also give you a bit more breathing room, but still a potentially larger magnification than most other wide-angle lenses. For general use, it's a bit less of a challenge, and the shift feature can be fun to use. If that's the main feature that interests you though, I'd suggest you pass on this one. While useful and fun in certain situations, its abilities are naturally limited compared to an actual tilt-shift lens. It's also meant for use with APS-C cameras where the field of view won't be quite as wide, although still pretty wide. The declicked aperture means that it could be useful for video, but again, if that's one of your main attractions to this lens, I'd say find something else. Based on its design and usability, I'd say it's up to you to decide on this lens. It's difficult to use, but it's unique and well priced. The image quality will likely be a bigger deciding factor, and we'll take a look at that next. But in the meantime, if you're simply interested in something wide, be sure to check out my review of the Laowa 12mm f2.8 lens, which is a seriously awesome lens. For now, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you found this video helpful, subscribe to see more, and as always, thank you for watching.